Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. You know who it is. And it is time for our weekly track roundup, where I go over what I felt were the best and the worst tracks of the week. I don't have any big sponsorships or anything at the start of this video. I just want to mention we have officially opened the Needle Drop Patreon page account. You can head over there. We have a few different tiers. We have a monthly episode, a monthly bonus episode of Let's Argue, monthly classic album listen along live streams, also a primo patron list out at the end of Let's Argue episodes for those who give at a certain dollar level. Explore the tiers, explore the patrons' goals that we have set up, and if you enjoy what we do, but you just want that little bit extra bit of content at the end or the middle of the month because you just can't get enough, then hit up our Patreon page and become a patron. Otherwise, you can just keep enjoying our reviews and everything else that we put out as you typically do. But if you want that little bit extra, the link is down below for this page. Along, of course, with all of the songs I'm going to be talking about in this episode of the Weekly Track Roundup. So go down there and hit up the tracks if any of my descriptions or the songs interest you. Our Amazon and Turntable Lab links are down there too. But I have spoken enough. Let's get into the tracks and shoutouts. 1, we have Denzel Curry here, coming through with a few Spotify exclusive tracks where he's on the record with Bad Brains, on the record with Canadian punk rock outfit Fucked Up, and they are recording more loud music. It's pretty incredible. Would I guess love to continue hearing Denzel go down this road at least, on the side with tracks like this every once in a while. I mean, his Rage Against the Machine cover was amazing, and to hear him kind of dip back into this sound, into this style is pretty cool. Don't know how or if he will actually work this sort of thing into his new upcoming album, but I don't know. It sounds pretty good when he's kind of detouring into this every once in a while. And let's get into the worst tracks of the week. Ooh, I skipped ahead too far. But you've already seen the first one. We already have this one up. We have Maggie Lindemann, who is a new pop artist that is out on 300 Entertainment. Yes, that 300 Entertainment that you typically affiliate with loads of different rap artists out there, but they seem to be branching out with this new single called Friends Go, featuring none other than Travis Barker of Blink-182 fame. But to my ears, it just sounds like a completely boring, neutered pop punk track, hella overproduced, boring song, boring vocals. The instrumental is kind of a mess. Travis's drums, I don't think, are all that well complemented by the mix. And I just feel like Avril Lavigne already happened. Like, I don't know why we need this fake punk pop rock edginess. It's I really don't know. It's a bland, boring song, and I'll leave it at that. We also have this new track from Iggy Pop, who has a new record on the way. James Bond is the name of this new cut over here that is hella stale, stiff, and awkward. I know Iggy's solo stuff does tend, especially on records like The Idiot, which I do enjoy, tend to be a little, I don't know, I guess a little obtuse, but I just don't really get the appeal on this particular record. It just sounds deflated. It just sounds deflated on this record, on this track. I guess I'll reserve my full critique for when the album comes out, and I don't know, I'll see if it vibes with me in any way, shape, or form. I doubt I'm going to get that many asks to cover this, so I guess going into it, I'm not really that excited, despite the fact that I love a lot of classic Stooges records. I do love a few solo Iggy efforts as well. He is, in my view, one of the greatest rock artists of all time, but not really seeing the genius of his latest output over here. And we also have this new track from the trio known as HAIM. Can't say I'm digging this new song titled Summer Girl all that much. I think it's a bit of a breath of fresh air from those past singles that were maybe a little overproduced, yes, but to me, the lack of a compelling song at the core of this track, combined with the instrumentation that just sounds like a ripoff of Lou Reed's Walk on the Wild Side, just resulted in it feeling like a throwaway to my ears, honestly. All right, let's move into the tracks that I thought were kind of meh, weren't really blowing me away, but certainly were worth a shout out. One we have Refused. They're back. Post-hardcore outfit, Refused. They made their comeback several years ago with a record that I didn't really care for all that much. But they have a new project on the way, and this new song over here that they have out titled Blood Red it's kind of punky. It's got a little rock and roll in it as well. It's kind of like the last album in that they've kind of captured the vibe of their old stuff, but it's nowhere near as exciting or as intense, and I'm just kind of waiting for it to do something more interesting than it's currently doing. Yeah. We also have a new track from the new Pornographers, new album on the way as well. If you love yourself some power pop, then you will most likely like this track quite a bit. Falling Down the Stairs of Your Smile is the title of this one. It's got a cute hook. It's got some cute lyrics on it. Give it a shot, again, if you're hardcore into power pop. Korn, Cold. I thought this one was a lot more interesting than their last single, which to me just read as a very bland alternative metal track. This one at least had wilder vocals from Jonathan Davis, some crazier slap bass playing. The riffs were a bit more herky and jerky. The drums I thought were a bit more aggressive. This to me read a bit more like classic Korn than their last single from their forthcoming record, but still, it didn't really go far enough to put this one over the edge. It still came off, especially on the hook, a little bland in my view. We also have this new track from Gryffin and Rae Jepson. Carly hops on top of a very glitzy and very digital pop beat with some EDM elements. It's okay. It's not blowing my mind or anything. I find the production a little bland, but still do enjoy Carly's vocals and vocal melodies, so it's not all bad if you're a hardcore fan. We also have Divine Sweater 2x2, which is a group that I recently came across. They actually popped, I think, this song in my email inbox, and I came away with it kind of impressed. I mean, if you love very breezy, happy-go-lucky indie with a twee twist and a lot of horns and some very catchy, I guess, reverb-soaked lead vocals, then I think you'll get into this quite a bit. It's a sweet tune. I wish the performance was a bit more gutsy, but still, I thought this was very nicely instrumentally layered and composed for a indie pop song of this style, and I guess looking forward to more of what the band is doing down the road. We also have this new track from the band Carbomb, who I actually get a lot of requests to review and talk about. I'm not a huge fan of Carbomb's stuff. Their new song over here, Scattered Sprites, I kind of see as a track in typical Carbomb fashion. It is a metal track. It's technical. It's got some weird grooves to it, and the guitars are a bit djenty and sound like a piece of machinery breaking down or just on the verge of exploding. It's not my vibe. It's not my aesthetic. It's not really my sound, but I will admit, for a band in this style, in this vein, I do find what Carbomb does pretty tolerable, or at least a bit more interesting than a lot of the more commercial acts in gent. It seems like a bit more grating and hardcore and a bit more risky, but still not super crazy about it, but just letting the metal fans out there know, the Carbomb fans out there know, there's new Carbomb, and you'll probably like it more than me. We also have this new track from Brockhampton that I thought was a somewhat interesting effort from the group. It does have some standout moments, but as a composition, as a song, it's not that well composed or organized, not a strong hook on it. You have little appearances from Dom and from Merlin that, in my view, sound a bit like wasted potential. The Matt Champion outro at the end of the track sounds like something that would have made for a great hook on the song, but it's not a hook. Again, structurally, I think it's a bit of a mess, even if there are some good vocal performances and lyrical bits from Joba, from Kevin, from Bareface, but what are you going to do? I just hope the next single is a bit better. But I've Been Born Again. I have a full-length track review for this song over on the Fantano channel. Check it out over there if you like. We have a new track from Ariana Grande, and also a duo that I'm now just hearing of thanks to the song Social House. Boyfriend is the name of the track. It's a cute tune. It's got an okay beat, but I found the vocals Social House brought to the table to be kind of bland, didn't quite get it. Felt like, I don't know, a collaboration without much chemistry, I guess, though I still enjoyed much of the instrumental and Ariana's vocal contributions to the song. I can say at least that much. And now we're on to what I felt were the best tracks of the week this week. Number 1, we have a new single from Blanck, Mass. This track over here is really everything that I would want out of a Blanck Mass song. It is insanely dark. It is bright. It is grating. It is throbbing. It is exciting. There are a lot of songs from this project that fuse elements of dance music, of industrial music, of noise music, of minimalist composition that fall flat for me, but this track was definitely not a case of that. This one really knocked it out of the park. The name of this one over here is Love is a Parasite. Highly, highly recommend it. There's at least a few songs on every Blanck Mass record that blow me away, and this is definitely an example of one. Next one that really left a mark on me was this track from a band that I'm now just hearing of named Starcrawler. To me, the track felt like if you took a Marilyn Manson song and then tried to feed it through the instrumentation of like a 70s somewhat bluesy hard rock band with a female lead singer, and that's exactly what you're getting. There are points vocally where I think maybe it's trying a little too hard, but it still rocks pretty freaking hard, and I like the dark, somewhat edgy attitude of the song. I think the band and the production sound really tight and together. I'm going to be looking more into Starcrawler as I guess they release new music. I thought it was pretty cool. Moving on from there, Sleater-Kinney, another single from their forthcoming album. This one I also thought was pretty good, so I think the band has put out more pleasurable singles than not for this forthcoming album. This new one over here is Can I Go On? And it has it seems like in one breath it's a pop rock track, but then in another breath it seems like a post-punk track and a noise rock song. It seems like a lot of those more experimental music elements are used to sour up and dement the poppier elements of the songwriting and the composition, which I think is pretty cool. Definitely subversive and a little left field and tongue-in-cheek, definitely dark, but with also a sense of humor to it. Give it a shot. Give it a shot. Sleater-Kinney has still got it, and I like that they are experimenting and breaking a little new ground for the band, I suppose. Moving on from there, we have a new single from Rhapsody, featuring a beat that is pretty much an instrumental from GZA's Liquid Swords. GZA is on the track, and D'Angelo is on the song as well, on the hook, providing some very wacky vocal harmonies. It's a banger. It's amazing. I think it proves how great Rhapsody is lyrically. I love the input from GZA on the track as well. Definitely livens the track up along with D'Angelo's contributions to the song too. It's fantastic. I love that Rhapsody is continuing to kill it, and looking forward to a new project from her very, very soon. All right, we have a new song from Idols as well, UK-based punk outfit Idols, a non-album song and single which could have easily slipped into their last full-length album, which is amazing. Joy is an Act of Resistance, which I gave a very positive review the year that it came out. It was one of my favorite rock records of that year. I Dream Guillotine is a completely unabashed song in its revolutionary tones. I guess if you don't want to chop the heads off of the rich, if that's something you are strongly averse to, avoid this track. Avoid this track by all means. We also have a new song from Foals from their forthcoming album, which is the sequel to their last full-length record. This one over here, in my view, rocked pretty hard, was very aggressive, sort of showed a lot of chutzpah on the part of the band. Black Bull is the title of this one. Now, of course, I was impressed by at least a few tracks, or at least one track in the lead up to their last full-length album. Ended up being disappointed by quite a few of the deep cuts. I'm assuming this is also going to be the case with this new full-length album, but I can still say that I liked this new track a lot. I thought it was really good and sort of showed the more frantic side of the band, which I do tend to enjoy. We also have this new track over here from none other than Cross Record, I Release You, which is a very, it's new to me anyway, this project. And this song, I Release You, is a beautiful, serene, somewhat dejected and downtrodden and very sparse ballad that finds a lot of power in subtlety. And I'll leave it at that. It's a beautiful tune. It's gorgeous, and it's linked down below along with everything else we're talking about here. Black Moses is the name of this project, or rather this song from Channel Trace, who we've talked about on this channel before. The last time I hyped up a song from this artist, it was that amazingly hilarious track, Sexy Black Timberlake. This new one over here is equally fantastic and features none other than JPEGMAFIA on the song. So if you're a huge Peggy fan and you love your hip-hop left field, you love your hip-hop odd, give it a shot and get deeper into the music of Channel Trace as well, because I think there's an incredible amount of potential here going forward, especially getting into that Sexy Black Timberlake track. It's amazing. And we have one last song that I'm going to mention in this video. It is the newest track from none other than singer-songwriter Angel Olsen. She has a new record on the way via Jag Jaguar, and this new song of hers is sort of a departure. It's titled All Mirrors. It sees Angel embracing some elements of synth pop and art pop as well. It's a little synthetic. It is kind of gargantuan in its instrumental presentation. It is very loud. Her vocals are a little buried in the mix too. There are some elements to it that remind me of The Knife, but not in a bad way. It's a hulk of a song. It is a hulk of a song. And while I do have to say there is part of me that does at this point still prefer the wild, emotionally raw, garagey aesthetic of her past singles, I am excited for what the future holds for Olsen, given the amount of ambition she's showing on this track. So I think it came out great. I think it's a powerful anthemic tune with just lots of pomp to it. And I think I'll leave it at that. You know, it's a huge song, probably the biggest in scope song in the whole best track section. So give it a shot, especially if you loved Angel's last full-length album, or if female singer-songwriters are kind of your bag, especially if they're of the indie set, though I think what Angel is doing here kind of transcends out of that a little bit. So I'm going to leave it at that. That has been the weekly track roundup. Thank you everyone for watching, and I want to mention one more time that our little, our little patron page is here. It's live. It's linked down below, along with, again, all of the other tracks we talked about in this video. You're the best. Anthony Fantano. Weekly track roundup forever.